Today we're making homemade ooey gooey fudgy brownies. If y'all like brownies, you need to give this one a try. We even made an icing for the top. Boy, were they delicious. Hey y'all, and welcome back to the channel. Today in the kitchen, we're going to be cooking up some ooey gooey brownies. So y'all come on, and I'm going to show you how to make this easy, simple recipe on homemade brownies. Okay, let's go over the ingredients you'll need for these ooey gooey brownies. You'll need 2 sticks of butter, melted and room temperature, 4 eggs, room temperature, 1 cup of walnuts, 1½ cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup of cocoa, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a teaspoon of baking powder. Now let's start making our ooey gooey brownie mix. Okay, to do our brownies mix in, we're going to be using our bowl that we melted our butter in. I've already melted it and it has come to room temperature. So now we're just going to start adding our ingredients to the butter. Okay, to the butter, first thing we're going to add is we're going to add our sugar. And this is 2 sticks of butter, 1½ cups of regular sugar. And we're just going to start blending in that sugar with that melted butter. You can see that the sugar is already trying to dissolve. Just a little, okay? Now we're going to add and now to that we're going to add our cocoa. Now this is 1/2 cup of cocoa. And now we're just going to give that a mix. Oh, and look at that chocolate already. Ooey gooey brownies. Now you don't want to add your flour into these kind of brownies until last, because you don't want to overwork your flour. Okay, now I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And we're just going to eyeball that. I'm not going to measure it. That's 1, 2. And now we'll add our baking powder, salt, and cinnamon. And just give that a minute. Oh, that cinnamon and that butter's already smelling good with that chocolate. If y'all like brownies, you're going to love this recipe. Okay, now we're going to add our 4 eggs. We'll move all this over to the side. And you want to go ahead and crack your eggs, and you'll need to beat them before you put them in your mixture. I done good, y'all. I didn't get no shells in my eggs. And if you did, just get it out. Okay, now that we've got our eggs beaten up, we're going to add those to our brownie mixture. Okay, now we're going to add our 4 eggs. And now we're just going to give that a good mix. And you want to do this before you put that flour in there, because you don't want to have to work that flour into this for very long once you put it in there. Okay, now we're going to add our 1 cup of walnuts. And these are chopped walnuts. If you like pecans, you could use pecans. This is just what I had, so we're going to go with walnuts. Just give it a good mix, real good, before you get ready to put that flour in. So when you're adding your flour, you don't have much more mixing to do. Now we're going to put our 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour in our brownie mix. And we're going to sift it before we put it through, in case there's any little lumps in my flour. I don't want that in my brownies. See? So it's always better to sift your flour. Okay, and now we're just going to fold that in and give that a little mix. So you can make these brownies at home with pretty much what you already have in your pantry without having to buy those brownie box mixes. And this right here is a lot better than those store-bought boxes of brownie mix. Okay, now we're going to get our baking dish over here and get our brownies put it in our baking dish. We've already sprayed our dish with a butter spray. So now we're just going to add our brownie mix to this and go ahead and be preheating your oven to 325. You want to cook this on a low temperature. And these brownies right here will be more of a fudgy type brownie than a cake. Now if you want it like a cake more, you could add a little bit more flour and cook it just a little bit longer. But right here, we're going to cook these for around 35 minutes to 40 minutes on 325. If you want it more like a cake texture, you could cook it more like, say, probably 50 minutes on 325. But now we're going to get our brownies in the oven. Okay, y'all, let's get our brownies out of the oven. Ooh, look at that. That right there is chocolate deliciousness. that right there, y'all. It's gonna be good. Now let's make the icing for our brownies. Okay, for your icing on your brownies, you'll need 4 tablespoons of melted butter, around 2 tablespoons of milk, 1/4 of a cup of cocoa, and around a cup of powdered sugar. Okay, what you're going to need for your icing is around 4 tablespoons of butter. And I've already started warming my butter up, and now I'm just going to work that little bit of butter in that warm butter. I don't want to get it too hot, but just get that mixed in there and it'll start melting too. But I only put it on for 30 seconds. And we'll just let that little bit sit there a minute and melt on its own. Okay, now we've got all our butter dissolved. We're going to go ahead now and we're going to add our cocoa. And just start giving that a mix. And then we're going to add just about half of our milk to start with. Because when you're working with powdered sugar, you don't never know if you're going to need it all. See how it's already getting a little thickness to it? Okay. My big jar right here, I believe, has about 1 cup. And that's what we're going to start off with. And I may have to add just a little bit more, but we'll see. And it starts off lumpy, but it'll work it in there. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add the other little bit of milk. Okay, that's the thickness that you got right there. If you want it just a little bit thinner, you could add a couple drops of more milk or a little water. If you want it a little thicker, just add some more powdered sugar. But we're going to go with that right there for our brownies. Got to get it all out of there. And now we're just going to take it and cover our brownies. Okay, y'all, if you don't want to add icing to this brownie recipe, you don't have to. But today's a special day. I made these for Father's Day when the family came to eat. So I thought I'd treat them a little bit and even put me some icing on top of my walnut brownies. I hope y'all like this and give it a try. These brownies turned out a chewy and gooey brownie. If you want it more like a cake, just bake it a little bit longer, or like I said, add you a little bit more flour. This icing turned out just perfect for these brownies. It's not a real thick icing, but it's not too thin. If you want it to sink down in your brownies, just put it on while the brownies are still hot, and it will go down inside your brownies if you want that kind of texture. But today, we made it after they cooled, and the brownies had more of the icing just on the top, just like a cake. But like I say, if you want it to go down in your brownies, just put it on while the brownies are still warm. Okay, y'all, that's our video on homemade brownies. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.